Playing the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in the state. Everybody out here knowing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to code, stop for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the segment, power back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBT let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr Boyce TV.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. Welcome to drboycetv.com. This is the home for intelligent Black people. And so if you're not Black and intelligent, you may want to get the fuck out, because this conversation is going to be above your pay grade and it will probably confuse you. So anyway, I want to start the day. It's early this morning. If you're watching live, it's early in the morning. I want to say good morning to my friends on Facebook. I see Bobby and Mary and Hawa and Altovis and Yolanda and Mary. Good to see you. Aunt Fresh, what's going on? Altar Felix from Brazil. Okay. MYBB from Dallas. Shout out your city. Shout out the city that you're from. Roy is from London. Let's see. Rick Brown, good morning. BM 1800, how you doing? Malvo 12, good to see you. Good morning. Julianne Malvo actually hit me up. I need to bring her back on the channel because I love Julianne Malvo. She's my older sister crush. I love that lady so much, and I've known her for years, and she's very, very cool. So anyway, actually speaking of Julianne, it's kind of interesting. Because Julianne was when she had reached out to me about something, and she was asking me about some stuff that had to do with reparations, and I won't divulge too much of the conversation, but it involved being, invited me to be a part of something that she was working on. And she said, well, we weren't sure whether or not we wanted to work with you because we heard you were friends with that lady that keeps on talking about me that I don't even know who she is. I said, oh, you're talking about Yvette. I said, no, Yvette and I don't work together anymore, and I wouldn't say that we're cool. But I think that I don't hate her as much as she hates me. How about that? But Julianne is very smart. Yvette's very smart, and actually one of the smart things that has actually come out in the last few year or two is a movement called ADOS. Now ADOS, it's 2 things. It's a designation and it's a movement. I'm not part of the movement, but I am part of the designation in the sense that I am an American descendant of slavery. I am a person who can trace his lineage on both sides of my family right back to slavery. I ain't no. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, you do the DNA test, you got some old Irish shit and Scottish and, because everybody's grandmama got raped or whatever. But, but at the same time, not everybody's grandmama, but you know what I'm saying. But it's, I think the ADOS designation, American Descendants of Slavery, I think is one that is unique. I think it's one that needs to be talked about. And now in terms of the movement, you guys have heard my critique of the movement in terms of where I think they can do better. And so I want to talk about that a little bit. This week, the New York Times wrote about the ADOS movement, which I thought was really interesting to see in terms of how they kind of broke it down. And it's interesting to read about Black people from a white person's perspective, right? I don't even know if this article is white, or excuse me, this author is white or Black. Farrah Stockman, I could probably look this up. Let me see if Farrah Stockman is white or Black. I assume that if Farrah is working at the New York Times, Farrah has done a lot of research on, here we go. Farrah she's culturally ambiguous. I can't tell if she's Black or she could be Black. She could be. I've seen Black people that look like her. She went to Harvard. She's a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, okay? And she's worked for the Boston Globe, and she's currently employed by the New York Times. And she went to Radcliffe College. So let's see here. That's all I see. She did some stuff in Kenya. She was a teacher in Kenya. So anyway, so she wrote this article about ADOS. And by the way, before we get started, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you are on Facebook, please share this to your page. Good morning on Instagram. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. If you want to have some interesting, intelligent commentary about the things going on in the world, go to The Real Boyce Watkins. That's where we do our thing on Instagram. So please hit the thumbs up button. In fact, do our Black Power exercise on the count of 3. Everybody hit the thumbs up button. share and subscribe button. By the way, guys, it sounds like I'm buffering. So if you're watching me on, let me know if I'm buffering. Give me a yes or no. If you can hear me clearly and see me clearly. If everything's coming through clearly, give me a yes or no. If you can hear me and see me clearly, okay? Let me know, guys. Okay, I'm seeing a lot. Okay, I'm seeing you good from Deidre. Joseph says good. Okay. All right, so Frank says I'm buffering. Okay, so it looks like it's back and forth. Some of you say, most of you are saying clear. Okay, good. All right, Anita says no. Anita can't see me. Okay, Rodney Vinegar, how you doing, Rodney? I went to college with Rodney. He's a smart guy. Rodney was one of the few other black students on the campus actually that took studying as seriously as me. I remember that's what I remember about Rodney was actually a straight A student, and I liked this guy a lot, and I never forgot him. I saw him at the convention. But anyway, let me keep going. So ADOS. Let's talk about what the New York Times had to say about the ADOS movement, and I have some inside information because I worked with Yvette Carnell for many years. And I actually, she used my channel a lot. She's probably got 150 videos on my channel, and so I was happy to support in terms of seeing a sister get a voice. And so it looks like she's really doing well with that. And so let me read some of this to you, and then we can kind of break this down and deconstruct this a little bit. Give me a shout out, says Troy. Okay, Troy, you've been shouted out. Troy DeGregory. I'm shouting your ass out right now. How about that? All right, so in Hollywood, Harriet Tubman is played in a new movie by a black British woman, much to the annoyance of some black Americans. I wouldn't say I was annoyed by it. I would just say that it's just interesting to me. Like I'm trying to figure out, well, it seems like it doesn't really seem like there's not a problem with a foreign actor playing an American. I mean, that happens all the time. Idris Elba, people like that are great. I think the question is anybody, I don't know, give me a yes or no on this. Do you ever feel like sometimes it seems like they prefer actors from other countries? Like I think in I think it was either Us or Get Out. I think it was Us. There were all these actors from other countries that were playing African Americans. Like, does anybody ever seem like it almost seems like there's a preference? I don't know. I'm not saying that it's a problem, but I almost feel like it's a preference, and I think that's a little bit strange. Anyway, in the Harriet movie, which is garbage anyway, me and Alicia went to go see it just so we could, kind of give you a perspective. She's a therapist, so she's deep into mind control and subconscious mind and how that works. And you know me, I'm just a crazy black man who likes to check things out and analyze them. And we just hated the movie. We expected it to be bad. But it's bad when you expect it to be bad and it's worse than what you think. Not because it was bad cinematically. It was just so bad in terms of, must every goddamn Hollywood script fill somebody's fucking agenda? Like, can't you just make a movie and tell a story without trying to always okay, let's figure out let's figure out who's gonna be the gay guy. Let's invent something that's like ambiguously gay, right? Because they have this whole Suge Avery Sealy moment in the movie, which again, a lot of these things. Let's figure out how we can throw in some toxic masculinity. Let's create a violent black man and have him kill another imaginary black character so that we can create some black on black violence. Like, it was very weird. I couldn't get it. It was out of control. But anyway, so let me read more. On the United States Census, an ultra-wealthy Nigerian immigrant and a struggling African-American woman from the South are expected to check the same box. When many American universities tout the diversity numbers, black students who were born in the Bronx and the Bahamas are counted as the same. Now, that's something that's true. I remember having that issue when I was at Syracuse University and saying to them that it's kind of crazy that you're running around saying you got all this diversity, but you're not actually bringing in African Americans. In fact, actually, if you go look specifically at the diversity numbers at a lot of HBCUs, you're not going to see a lot of African American faculty in the business school, in the sciences, or anything. And it's kind of weird, right? You would think in an HBCU you would have African Americans able to get jobs first and foremost, but that's not the case. I interviewed at some HBCUs years ago, back when I was okay with working for the man, and I couldn't believe what I saw. It was quite interesting. But anyway, let me keep going. Let's see here. A spirited debate is playing out in black communities across America over the degree to which identity ought to be defined by African heritage, or whether ancestral links to slavery are what should count most of all. I don't see why they have to be sort of separated. I think that you can be African and still be a descendant of slaves at the same time. I think that there's a way to have this debate without sort of drawing unnecessary lines. I think that, so for example, I care about Africa, right? I want to connect to Africa. Like I want to be, like I guess you would call me a Pan-Africanist because I consider myself to be part of the diaspora. And I believe that the future of Black power and Black wealth lies with extending ourselves and reconnecting with Africa and being part of the global community, not isolating ourselves as simply descendants of slavery. You are a descendant of slavery, but you also might be a descendant of ancient Kemet, right? You are a descendant of the plantation, but you might also be a descendant of, the great empires of Ethiopia, right? You are a descendant of slavery. You're a descendant of Massa's plantation for sure, right? You got that Irish Scottish blood in you because somebody got raped many, many times back in the day. But you also might be a descendant of, various powerful parts of ancient West Africa. I mean, why would you let that go, to grab another distinction when it doesn't have to be either or? Right? Like, literally in finance, actually, we study options. You guys have you heard the term stock options? Give me a yes or no. You guys know I'm big on Black people investing. Does everybody know? Has everybody heard of the term stock options? Give me a yes in the chat if you've heard of stock options. You don't have to even know what they are. Have you heard of stock options before? Okay. All right. Options basically are exactly what they sound like. Options means that you have choice. Choice is freedom. Now, what is more important for Black people than freedom? Freedom that's what it's all about, man. Fucking freedom. That's all that matters at the end of the day is freedom. Freedom is connected to choice, which is connected to options. So my argument is when you've got, you've got your rightful claims to what you can get as an African American in this country, for sure. We deserve this. Reparations is not even a debate anymore. The only question is how much do you owe us, 15 trillion or 16 trillion, right? Like that's the only debate that's happening in my head. There is no and when should we expect payment, and in what form of payment will we receive that payment, right? Those are the only questions to be asked. The yes or no question is already answered, right? We know what happened. The challenge for me is I think we can and should pursue this debate and this conversation with complete access to the freedom we deserve, which comes from options and choices, right? So, in my mind, I'm not making a choice between being a descendant of slavery and being a descendant of West Africa. I think that's where my roots were mostly traced to. I got to do some AfricanAncestry.com to kind of figure that out too. But really, like I'm not disconnected any of that. I'm going to Ghana on December 6th. Michael Roberts, he's the billionaire out in St. Louis. He's got a delegation going. I was happy to join. Mike called me and asked me if I wanted to go. I said, absolutely. I would love to go because I want to reconnect with my real parents. I've been dealing with my adopted parents for a long time, and they are shitty people. My adopted parents, meaning, white America is your adopted daddy. They have abused you. They have molested you. They have mistreated you. They have dragged you through the mud. They have put you through hell. You have been the Cinderella of America because you've done all the work and got none of the credit. You know this, right? We all know these things, right? So I'm going back to Ghana because I want to meet my real parents and I want to reconnect to the people that actually have resources. Africa is the richest continent on the planet, and I want to be wired into that so that as we move into the 21st and 22nd and 23rd centuries, and as we resurrect Black power to what it should be, we're going to see global economics being a fundamental part of that success. You ain't gonna get that shit from a government-sponsored reparations check because these motherfuckers in Capitol Hill ain't never gonna pay you shit. They'll pay you a nickel or two. They'll give you some little bananas, like Byron Allen talked about. They treat us like monkeys and give us bananas. They're gonna give you a banana or two. They might throw some strawberry shortcake in with it. They gonna pay you in fucking Wendy's coupons. I guarantee. Excuse my French. I shouldn't be cussing this much in the morning, but y'all know what the hell I'm talking about. They're not going. Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you really think that this Congress, that these politicians, these do-nothing politicians, are going to write a reparations check that is even 1/3 of what you're really owed? Do you? Yes or no? Do you really believe that they're even going to write you? Like, if they owe you 15 trillion, you think they're going to give you at least 5? Because most estimates, Dr. Claude Anderson, who's been fighting on reparations for many, many years, he's been fighting for descendants of slavery for about 40, 50 years. He wrote in Powernomics about descendants of slavery. Just open up Powernomics, and I guarantee you that you'll find, if you open up to a random page, he'll talk extensively about descendants of slavery and how descendants of slavery are unique and deserve unique treatment. So Dr. Anderson been on this. He's been doing this. He wrote another book that's right here. Black Labor, White Wealth. Very clear title. Black Labor, White Wealth, in which he does extensive scientific analysis on exactly why they ripped you off, how they ripped you off, what laws they created to rip you off, and why they need to repay you, how they should repay you, and how you can actually get your power back in case they don't pay you the way you deserve to be paid. So here's the deal, right? When you talk about a conversation like a reparations situation, you gotta have freedom and options. You have to have a plan A, a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. You gotta attack on multiple fronts. You cannot go with a one-dimensional strategy that simply says, we're gonna ask the government to write us a check and we're gonna get mad if they don't. We'll just scream and holler and yell, and eventually they'll give. It doesn't mean that that's not part of the strategy. That's fine. I mean, you know my position. I told you guys I'm not voting for anybody. If nobody in the next election delivers something specifically for Black people, I'm talking about descendants of slavery, in terms of reparations, I'm not voting for you. You're not getting my vote. Not because I'm going to go vote for Trump, but because I don't have to vote for anybody. Why? Well, because I'm wired into this concept called freedom. Freedom means options. Options means that you will never back me into a corner. I play checkers, chess, and I'm actually a master poker player. I'm very good at poker, which is heavy on strategy. And one thing about strategy is you think 3, 4, 5, 10 steps ahead so that nobody can back you into a corner. You're not going to back me into this corner where it's either I support the Democrats or I'm secretly supporting Trump. Those are not two of the options. I've got about 50 different options and outcomes I can choose, and you're not going to limit me to just two. Okay, so do me a favor. Let me keep going. Hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button. And I want to remind everybody, you guys know the Black Business School sponsors all this stuff that we do in terms of new Black media. If you're interested in learning strategies of wealth so that your family can get ahead in case the government never writes a reparations check to you, go to theblackbusinessschool.com, theblackbusinessschool.com. You can get started for free. It costs you not one penny to get started. And I really hope everybody that watches this podcast becomes a stock market investor, because you have no idea how much wealth has been created in the stock market in the last decade. And if you haven't been participating, you're missing out on all of that. This is the best time in American history, to my knowledge, to be an investor. So don't just wait for the government. Go do something for yourself too. All right. So let's keep going. All right. So hit the thumbs up button. So here's what the New York Times article also says. A spirited debate is playing out in Black communities across America over the degree to which they ought to be defined by African heritage. Tensions between Black Americans who descended from slavery and Black immigrants from Africa and the Caribbean are not new, but a group of online agitators is trying to turn those disagreements into a political movement. Now, Vicky Dillard on Fly Nubian Queen TV last night took issue with the word agitators. I agree. I think that when you're talking about ADOS and all of us that are ADOS, all of us that are descendants of slavery, you really, it gets to the point where you got at least two types of people in that space, right? You got those who are just ADOS, who have common sense, who are saying, well, yeah, of course we should get special distinction because we went through slavery. Nobody else went through this. We know that affirmative action has been watered down. Dr. Claude Anderson went on Powernomics Thursday on drboycetv.com. He comes in and he always talks about how he helped design some of the initial affirmative action programs and how those programs ended up being diluted, that white women became the primary beneficiaries. Byron Allen mentioned this also in his Breakfast Club interview. And by the way, tomorrow, his Supreme Court hearing is going to happen tomorrow. So I'm going to be following that closely. And I did an extreme deconstruction of Byron Allen's situation, his case, on the Black Financial Channel. If you go to theblackfinancialchannel.com, you can watch that. I did about an hour breaking down his case and the ambiguities and the angles on it. So you can kind of see the big picture of it in terms of what his specific strategy is, or appears to be, and how this sort of fits into the whole national narrative, and how he, lays out the logic of his Breakfast Club interview to angle into a civil rights discussion, because what he's trying to do is he's trying to rally support in the court of public opinion by bringing people in, by saying, this is how this court case affects you too. This is how it affects you on your job. It's not a coincidence that he started the Breakfast Club interview telling stories about the civil rights movement, the riots in the 1960s, Dr. King being killed, and tanks being on his street. That was a strategy, but it doesn't mean that he was disingenuous. It just means that there's a bigger game being played here. And I think it's important to understand that whole game so you understand how economics is played on a big level. Okay. So anyway, with that said, Here's more of what the article says in the New York Times. I think in terms of the tensions between Black immigrants from Africa and the Caribbean and African Americans, I don't feel a lot of those tensions in the sense that I know a lot of people from the Caribbean and from Africa, and they treat, you know, I've always felt they treated me fine. But I do think that there is a perception of African American people that people have when they come to this country. I think that there is a belief that we are ridiculous and as ghetto and as ratchet and as ignorant as they put us in, as they portray us to be in Hollywood and in hip hop music. I think that the music that's being marketed around the world is very bad, a very bad look for the image of African Americans. And so people come to this country and they're just scared of us, right? But it's not our fault, because most of us don't do that shit. Most of us don't engage in the coonery that is presented in media. It is really the white man's decision who controls media. The white and Jewish community pretty much control media. So they portray specific images of you to the world that make you look like the savage, that make you look crazy, like in the movie Harriet, how they literally created a false black man, made up a black man, like literally made him up out of thin air and made him the most violent person in the fucking slave movie. How in the fuck, excuse my French, I'm sorry, I got to cuss on it, I can't take it, I can't. How in the motherfuck can you create a black man, literally make him up, grab him out of your imagination, and then make him the most violent person in a slave movie? That tells me that I need to revoke your license to ever make a slave movie again, including the black people who signed off on that script. Seriously, it'd be different if Bigger Long, or whatever the slave master's name was, he had some crazy porn star name, but Bigger Long, it'd be one thing if he was a real person. It'd be one thing if he really lived and it was clearly documented that he actually stomped a black woman's head and murdered her in front of everybody, because that's what he did in the movie. He literally stalked Janelle Monáe's character. He stalked her in the head, and Alicia and I were sitting in the audience. We were like, whoa, right? Like it was like jarring to see this violence, right? And if I acted like this, imagine what an old white woman would do. Like, she'd probably have a heart attack in that mug. And so the thing was, it was like, these are two people that never existed. Like, you made these characters up. So what comes out of your imagination is a reflection of who you are and how you think. Seriously, like you ever see how teachers will have children at school and they want to know, like, is the child happy? Is the child being abused? You know, is the child mentally ill? And then they'll say, draw a picture of your mommy and daddy. And then maybe they draw a picture of the mommy and daddy as like monsters or something, right? You know, and the teacher will be like, I saw these drawings. Little Jimmy drew this at school, and we're very disturbed by some of these pictures, right? And basically the same thing is true with moving pictures, aka Hollywood. You know, what you put on that screen and what comes out of your brain is a reflection of how you see us and how you see black people. And so my point is to say that, you know, that a lot of times I think that the diaspora is divided because you have legitimate grievance from African Americans who are sick of that shit, of you disrespecting all of us because you think you're better than us. Because we know what happens in a lot of immigrant homes. Like, oh, don't spend time with those African Americans. Oh, well, you need us when you need us, but you don't want to be around us when you don't want to be around us, right? It's kind of like the movie The Black Panther, how they have the African people who are all peaceful and educated, and then you have the African American, you know, who was Killmonger's character. You know, when he comes in the room, they start playing the rap music, and he's taking a show. He's got this toxic masculinity, and he's stomping he takes the lady and throws her in the fire or whatever the hell he did, right? Like it's basically real. Like, it's very real. And I think it's very unfair, and it's unfair to everybody though, because you were also lied to as well. But, you know, I think at the same time, when you look at it from a nuanced perspective, you know that there are many people from other countries who are ride or die with black people, you know, who live in the black neighborhood, who don't even see a distinction at all, who are right there with us. It's amazing people. People like, say, an Andre C. Hatchett. Andre Hatchett, we actually founded Black Men United together, blackmenunited.net. If you are a black man, it's for black men only. If you are a black man and you want to be strong and you want to join with other men who understand the principles of manhood, go to blackmenunited.net. Anyway, Andre C. Hatchett, you know, is a guy who isn't African American, from what I understand, but he's a sturdy, strong man. You know, he's a good brother, and I have so much respect for him. And there's other guys out there like that I've met from other countries, and I think it's kind of one of those things too, where I think African Americans, we can learn from those who come from the diaspora or from other parts of the world, because they remind us of who we are. You know, when I meet somebody from Nigeria, which is a country that has, on average, very high educational standards, you know, I learned, oh, wait a minute, we're not supposed to be like these ignorant ass coon rappers on TV who can't even spell their mama's name. That's the image the white man gave you about yourself, right? No, we're supposed to be like the Nigerians who believe in the pursuit of educational excellence at all costs and all expense. That you got your last dollar, you don't spend your last dollar on a pair of Jordans, you spend your last dollar getting a tutor for your child, right? You know, when I talk to my friend Nomalanga Mushali Moses from Botswana, Nomalanga reminds me of family, the importance of family. And I see her father, who's a strong African man who built massive amounts of wealth through intergenerational transfer of assets, particularly the ownership of cows. And I went to visit her family in Botswana, and it was just like being in the movie Coming to America. You know, you got the African look, it's very hot. And, you know, we went to a wildlife reserve and saw some amazing animals. But then, so I can literally hear the music like, you know, like in Coming to America, because I get to the house and I'm seeing, you know, Bentleys and Beamers and Range Rovers and servants and maids and butlers, and I'm like, this is so great, like this is amazing. And what she actually has continuously communicated to everybody, because she's on FlyNewBeingQueenTV.com, by the way, is that you can't really, it's hard to build power and wealth without family, right? And I think as African Americans, we are so inundated with excessive amounts of ridiculous propaganda, like that motherhood doesn't matter, that who wants to be a mother, oh God, no, you need to abort every baby that ever comes in your body and then go out and just have sex with everybody and then abort all your babies and destroy your family. And if you don't like your man, if he makes you upset, you just get rid of him because your kids don't need a daddy anyway, right? We're fed this nonsense about who we are, and so I love connecting with the diaspora because it reminds me of who I'm supposed to be, right? So anyway, let me keep going. Please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. Please do that. If you're on Facebook, please share this to your page. So let me keep going. So let's see here. So this is about the ADOS article that was written in the New York Times. And this is all connected, by the way. I know you guys know how I do. Like I take the core issue, but I see a lot of other issues that are connected to it. And I might circle around the globe, but I always bring it back home. So ultimately, all this connects to the ADOS conversation because it's a discussion about how I'm simply trying to encourage you to consider this idea. I want you to consider this idea that you don't have to make a choice. I want you to consider this idea that you can be a foundational Black American or ADOS, whatever it is, whatever the hell you are, and still be connected to, you know, who you were or who your people were 1,000 years ago. You know, I don't think you have to make a choice. I'm not going to make a choice because I'm not trying to cut off my limbs. I'm not trying to cut off my connections to the root of humanity, right? I've got 30,000 years of history invested in the power that makes me into the Black man, which is the greatest man on this planet. I'm not throwing all that away just so I can call myself a former slave who needs a check from the government. I'm not doing that, right? I am a king. I am Mansa Musa. You know, I am somebody who can go and build empires. I'm a person who can fight wars. I'm a person who can build community. I'm a person who can develop institutions. I'm a person who can create empires that the world has never seen. I am the person who can be the dominant figure in every conversation and not just somebody who's trying to escape somebody else's oppression. Do you follow me? Do you get what I'm saying? Are you listening to what I'm saying? Are you hearing me right now? You know, like literally deep down in my mind, and I want to encourage you to consider this. I'm laying this out here for you to help those of you who are feeling a little bit down over this white supremacy shit because you've been trained to give all your energy into worrying about what white people think about you. But, you know, I want to be Ali Boumaier. You know, Ali, Muhammad Ali, he's a second cousin of mine by marriage. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. My grandma used to tell stories. My grandma went to Ali's high school, Central High School, Louisville, Kentucky. And when I was a little boy, I used to read books about Ali and what he went through when he was a kid. And that used to actually give me courage. I'd be like, man, if he could deal with all of this in the 1960s and put it all on the line, then I don't have no problems. Like literally to this day, as a grown ass man, Ali, when I'll read about his life, I'll be like, man, Boyce, you don't have any problems because this man lost everything because of what he believed in. What happened when Ali went to Africa? When Ali went to Africa, you know, sure, he wouldn't go to Vietnam because he said, you know, Viet Cong never called me nigger. And everybody agreed with it. They were like, yeah, like, don't go to fuck Vietnam. We ain't fighting. We ain't going to die over there, right? Right. And they didn't like it. They got mad. That's why he took his career away. But when he went to Africa, he said, I'm home. These are my people. We're connected. And he got the entire continent of Africa to get behind him. And that's what gave him the power to defeat the undefeatable fighter by the name of George Foreman, who had been literally putting guys damn near into comas up until he fought Ali. Even Ali's own trainers didn't think that Ali could win that fight. But he got the African people behind him. He went out and he ran with the kids and he started saying, Ali, Boomaye, and they would start, and that energy is what propelled him over the top. So I believe that reconnecting to who we are is the secret to being who we're supposed to be. I do believe that. I do not think that you can win any competition by simply seeing yourself as a person who's behind in the race, who's simply trying to catch up. I don't believe you probably won't catch up, and you definitely won't win. Do you follow what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? Is there anybody in this room that understands what I'm talking about right now? Please feel free to say so in the chat. I'd like to hear your perspective on this. All right, so let's keep going. Let me read more of this New York Times article about ADOS and FBA. The American descendants of slavery, they say, should have their own racial category on census forms and college applications and not be lumped with others with similar skin color, but vastly different lived experiences. I do agree with that. I think African Americans need our own distinction in terms of how the resources are allocated. What tends to happen is African Americanism tends to get diluted in the mix of everything else. So you have a university that'll let in a bunch of people that are not African American, and then they'll say, oh, we have a very diverse student body. And it's like, no, you're not diverse, because look, you only have 10 African American males on the entire campus. Like UCLA, very racist school that pretty much doesn't let African Americans come in unless you're dribbling a basketball, throwing a football, in which case they can actually exploit you for money. I argue that the same percentages that you have on the football field and basketball court should be matched by the student body, should be matched by your faculty, should be matched by your administrators, right? If you can't do that, if you can't love us all the time, then don't love us at all. If you can only love us when we're making money for you, then you're no different from the deadbeat motherfucker who shows up once a month because he knows his baby mama got her government check. That's what you are. You are somebody who shows up. You know what I'm talking about. Those people that only call you and return your calls when they need something or when they know you got your taxes back. Seriously, that's the way they treat you, and that's how they see us as people. They show up. They're always in the black community when they can get something from us. When they can get a piece of political ass, meaning they can get your vote, they'll show up. When they can come and get your money, they'll show up. They'll put a business right in your hood and take every penny out and sell you every ounce, every piece of Popeyes chicken that they have in the motherfucking factory. When it comes to sports, they will bring all kinds of Negroes to UCLA and these racist institutions in order to play football and to risk being paralyzed on the football field. And then they dump them off back in the hood after they're done. But when it comes time for black people to apply for other positions in the university, like somebody wants to be campus president or somebody wants to be a biology professor or whatever, suddenly they ain't got time for you. Suddenly it's like, well, we tried to search for an African American. We just couldn't find any that were qualified enough. Well, then don't show up for our athletes if you can't show up for our scholars. If you can't show up for the people that want jobs and opportunities with your institution or the communities that need support, that deserve support from that institution, then don't show up and pick up our athletes. That's an insult. But then at the same time, when you're being used, you can blame the person that's using you, but you're not stupid. You got to ultimately look at yourself. You got to look at yourself and say, why am I letting them do this to me? It's just like dating somebody. You train somebody on how to treat you. If somebody's treating you like crap, first question I'm gonna ask you, if you come to me and tell me that your boyfriend or your girlfriend is treating you bad, my first question is I'm gonna stop you and say, okay, we can't control who they are, but you can control who you are, and I need you to explain to me why you keep coming back. Now, I already know the answer. The answer is that you're addicted to this. You're addicted the same way a crackhead can probably sit here. There are some crackheads that are so smart they can literally explain to you the biochemical reasons why crack is going to eventually kill them. But the reason they keep coming back is because that's what they're used to, that's what they like, and they enjoy the high more than they worry about the low. They enjoy the high of smoking, hitting that pipe more than they hate the low of losing your family because you're hitting the damn pipe. That's what it is. The good has outweighed the bad. That's why we stay in any toxic relationship. Whether you're talking about dating the white man, because you've been in an abusive marriage with the white man for about 400 years, and you ain't leaving no matter what, right? An abusive relationship with the Democratic Party for a long time, right? But you ain't leaving no matter what. Well, the same way you have that boyfriend or that girlfriend who treats you like shit and you keep coming back. Why do you keep coming back? It ain't because you're stupid. Now, you are kind of stupid. I mean, we all are stupid. We've all been stupid. If you've been stupid in a relationship, raise your hand. Let's just fess it out, throw it out there. I'm gonna be the first to raise both hands because I've been not just stupid once or twice. I've been stupid about 4 or 5 times. I ain't gonna lie, right? Like, you can't trust the big button to smile, but that got me every time, right? So everybody goes through it. But the thing is that there's a point where you have to stop and say, wait a minute, why do I keep allowing this person to treat me this way, right? Well, it's not because you're totally stupid. It's also because you're addicted, and the high outweighs the lows. That's what it is. The sex is so good that's what holds you over between the times when he's beating your ass, right? For real. Like, y'all know what it is. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So there's a point where a choice has to be made, and that's not an intervention anybody else can do for you. That's only an intervention you can do for yourself. So for what I'm trying to say to you guys is, at some point, we need to do an intervention. We need to really talk to ourselves and talk to our community and kind of say, at what point will we say enough is enough? At what point are we going to say, we're not going to let the Democratic Party abuse us anymore, even if that means we got to sit out an election and let Trump get elected 10 times. Maybe he'll get elected, and then Donald Trump Jr. will get elected. I don't give a fuck. Seriously, if you want Trump out of office, then do right by black people, and they will show up for you in droves. We showed it. We proved it with Obama. If black people love you, they will show up and vote for you. But there's a lot of people who are just becoming smarter and saying, I'm not showing up for you if you're not showing up for me, right? So one of the other commonalities, common factors that are things I have in common with, the FBA, Foundational Black Americans Movement, ADOS, all that, is I'm the same way. I'm not voting for anybody if you're not showing me a reason why I should vote for you. I'm not going to vote for you just because you told me to. Slavery ended a long time ago. You can't tell me what to do. All right. So let's keep going. Let me keep reading more to you. The American descendants of slavery, they say, should have their own racial category. Okay. The group, which calls itself ADOS, the American descendants of slavery, is small in number, with active supporters estimated to be in the thousands. But the discussions they are provoking is coursing through conversations far and wide. Those who embrace this philosophy point to disparities between black people who immigrated to the U.S. voluntarily and others whose ancestors were brought in chains. Roughly 10% of the 40 million black people in the United States were born abroad, according to a Pew Research Center poll, up from 3% in 1980. African immigrants are more likely to have college degrees than blacks and whites who were born in the U.S. A 2007 study published in the American Journal of Education found that 41% of black freshmen at Ivy League colleges were immigrants or the children of immigrants, even though those groups represent 13% of the black population in the U.S. So I like the fact that the New York Times article is at least pointing out some of these disparities, some of these issues. When you talk about educational achievement, it's a little bit of a complex thing. You guys know I was a college professor for 25 years. I still am. I just teach black people now, and that makes it even more rewarding for me. But one thing I can say is that culture, while we know systematic racism is huge, and systematic racism actually shapes culture. So it all links back. It links back to what you were taught by the white man. That's why our black core of 3 is we believe black people should educate our own children, create our own jobs, support our own businesses. That's basically another way of saying you should be the masters of your own culture. Unfortunately, a lot of our culture is shaped by white educational institutions, white-owned media, and all these other outside factors that tell you who you are. That's where you get these little guys running around here thinking that they thugs with pants sagging and shit because they've been watching white-owned media that's telling them that this is what black culture is supposed to be, right? They're telling them that's what it means to be black. But those who actually are educated at home by their parents on what blackness looks like, those who are actually disconnected from white-owned media at an early age, they don't do those things. They do not do those things. I work with a lot of millennials. I have a lot of millennials. They follow me on the Black Financial Channel, and I love it because I love talking to our young people because I like being the father that they should have had, right? And or the older brother or the homeboy, whatever it is I am for you. I embrace that completely because I want you to win and I want you to be smarter than me by the time this is done. That's why I'm doing brain dumps on a daily basis to share what I see here. And one of the things I can tell you without hesitation is that there is a difference when I am working with young people. There's a difference between the young people who are raised on standardized hood culture or white media culture versus the kids who were raised in a different kind of setting. Seriously. I know, like I think of a kid I know who was homeschooled. His parents were Hebrew Israelites, so they kind of gave him a different sort of upbringing. They kept him away from the media. They gave him a different educational process. He's a different type of guy from the other young kids that I might work with. Like he's reliable. He believes in, he wants to be smarter. He's not going to do some dumb shit just because his homeboys are doing it, just because his friends are doing it. Whereas, you know, I think about another kid that comes to mind who was raised basically on the standard hood culture, you know, rap music every day on the radio, watching BET all the time, went to a white school that was inferior. And I can't motivate this person for shit. It's almost like, I'm like, do you want anything out of your life other than a Gucci purse? What the fuck, man? Like for real, do you notice the difference? Like, do any of y'all notice like what white supremacist media and education is doing to our kids? Has anybody noticed the difference? Like, I'm just telling you all the truth. You know, and I look at this, and to me, that's yet another reminder. I remember David Banner got a lot of heat back when he was in Essence magazine, and he said that integration was the worst thing that ever happened to us. Well, he's right. He's right. When you got integrated, they just basically just said, well, okay, now we really get to fuck up your kids. We're going to get them addicted to Gucci purses and Popeyes chicken and gangster rap and whatever the fuck, whatever we throw at them, we know that they're going to consume it because we put it out there and made it into a big deal. If we want to really screw you up and we want to fill up our penitentiaries, all we got to do is get your black boys committing crimes voluntarily. Somebody talked about this the other day. I forgot what it was, about committing crimes and felonies and shit. Yeah, like, or just even you know, like I was thinking about this kid, the guy who slammed the white lady at the Popeyes chicken restaurant. Y'all see that? Anybody, yes or no? Did anybody see that? It was terrible. It was so bad. It was on my it's on my Instagram if you want to see the video. My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. But anyway, but anybody see this where this lady goes in a restaurant in a Popeyes and she basically says she gets mad because they overcharged her and she ended up calling somebody the N-word, right? So the lady walks outside, 55-year-old lady walks outside. The employees follow her outside, and one dude just picks her up and boom, like slams her on the concrete to the point where her head like snaps and hits the. I'm like, oh my God, like she could die right now, you know. And I understand. I mean, it was interesting, right? It was like, damn, like you need to watch your mouth, lady. Like, so everybody got that, right? Like, I get that totally. I get how they felt, but then the next news flash is a mugshot of this kid, saying that he's been charged with felony assault or felony something. Like, I think they probably got 2 or 3 charges on him, all of which probably carry really long sentences for him. And so I'm visualizing this young kid going to prison, maybe getting raped, definitely getting beaten, and definitely being traumatized, definitely being away from his mama for many, many years, and definitely being marginalized from society, definitely cut out from the ability to be the kind of husband and father that he might have grown into. And definitely being scarred for life as a felon, right? Now, I need to kind of ask you guys, yes or no, yes or no. Do you think it was really worth it? Like over a word, over some dumbass redneck who probably got a mental health disorder. You got to be crazy to walk up at a Popeyes chicken calling people the N-word. Like, I mean, do you think it was worth it? Was the trade-off worth it? Do you think that that's worth it? Yes or no? Give me a yes or no. I hope, please say no. I hope nobody says yes. If you say yes, I need to talk to you personally. I'm gonna give you my phone number so you can call me. Okay, I see a yes. All right, Robert, you need to call me, man, because I need to talk to you, bro. Because it's not worth it, man. Like, you know, because here's the thing. When you do this, you're actually a white supremacist. You're participating in white supremacy. And let me explain why. It's only smart people gonna get this. Like, ignorant people or one-dimensional thinkers won't understand what I'm saying. If you think it's worth it, you're supporting white supremacy, because basically what you're saying is that any toothless, idiotic redneck who wants to destroy your future or take what you got, all he's got to do is come up and trigger you with one word. All he's got to do is call you the N-word, and that means you could be in Harvard Medical School, about to graduate and go make millions of dollars and take care of your family. You could be a parent. You can have all these great plans and goals and dreams. I can kill all of that by walking up to you and using the power you've given me to say one word that triggers you into throwing all that away. So basically, the fact that you consider what I say to you to be that important to you, that you're going to throw your whole future away and your family's future away because you are so determined to retaliate, that means that you see me as superior to you. Because I need y'all to tell me this right now. Tell me this right now. What word is there in the English language that I can use, that I can use on Bill Gates, that I can run up on Bill Gates with and call him, that will cause Bill Gates to catch a case and get a felony because he decided to punch me in the face or try to attack me or slam me or whatever? What word? Give me the word. Yes or no? Is there any word in the English language that I could call Bill Gates that will cause him to throw away his future because he's so determined to just teach me a lesson because it ain't right? Because I done disrespected him. Mark Zuckerberg, could I run up on Mark Zuckerberg and get him to throw away billions of dollars and freedom and his big gigantic private yacht and everything that he has in his life because he's so determined to like punch me in the face? There is no such term. There is no word. Why? Well, because they would be like, well, if you saying stuff like that, then you must be an idiot, and they walk away. They would walk away. So what I'm trying to say to you is that you got to stop supporting white supremacy in these ways. Like, stop worrying about what they think about you, because what they think about you, it does not matter. What matters is what you think about yourself. So I'm going to read more of this article here. Let me keep going. So in 2017, Black students at Cornell University protested for the admission of more quote unquote underrepresented Black students, who they defined as Black Americans with several generations in the US. I agree. I think that's a good movement. There's a lack of investment in Black students whose families were affected directly by the African Holocaust in America, the students wrote to the president of the university. I agree with that 100%. And that's completely correct. I hope that they change that. University administrators say that Black students from other countries contributed to diversity on the campus, even if their admittance does not mitigate the injustices of American slavery. They do, but I think that there's something to be said about this. I think that the best thing about us as ADOS speaking up on these issues, or us as foundational Black Americans speaking up on this issue, is that it addresses the long-held problem of benign neglect. It addresses the long-held issue that Black people from America have sort of been watered down and mixed in with all these other groups of basically non-white males, which causes us to always end up at the back of the bus. Like, we're just that residue that always sinks to the bottom of the soup. And so ultimately, there needs to be some sort of distinction. Charlemagne the God hit me up when those Democratic Party candidates came onto his channel. He texts me every blue moon. I hear from Charlemagne probably about twice a month, I think. He's a very busy guy. He's got people more significant than me to talk to. But he texts me every now and then, and he texts me to ask me like what I thought should be asked of these Democratic candidates, and what ideas I would propose. And one of the things that we did talk about is, I said, I think that Black people from America should be part of, at least initially, I mean, just as far as the politics goes, we could benefit from being listed as a protected class. A protected class would not mean, I think it's very important to not get caught up, though, in seeing yourself as a disabled group, or a group that can't do anything on your own, because that's never going to win for you. That's never going to work for you, right? But the benefit of being incubated as a people, in terms of having specific programs designed to bring resources to Black communities, could be beneficial if you know how to empower yourself to utilize those resources. Because again, but it's an interesting thing, right? It's like sort of saying, my leg really hurts. I need a cast in a wheelchair. But in addition to the cast in the wheelchair, I'm going to be doing therapy so that I can make sure I can walk, right? Because if you continue to think of yourselves as simply victims of slavery and descendants of slavery and nothing more and nothing else, then what's going to happen is they're going to dump all these resources on you, and the shit's going to go to waste. You'll be sitting there, and then they're going to look, you're going to look at you the same way they've always looked at you. They're going to say, look, we gave Black people all these resources, all this money, and all they did was they went to the Gucci store. We gave them a reparations check, and basically every like mall in their community owned by Jews and Hispanics and Asians has basically like seen a financial bonanza, because Black people are so caught up in trying to spend all this money that they just got. Right. So you need the people in your community who are the builders. You need the people in the community who are going to sit down and say, OK, we got an extra $10 billion. Let's start some construction projects. Let's create some businesses out of this. Let's go ahead and build our own schools. I was like Cheryl Irvin. I saw her, and she runs the new Alkebalan School down in Florida. Let's build some independent Black schools that can teach our kids so that they are protected from the treachery of the public school system, right? So ultimately, you need both. You can't have sort of just this conversation about, okay, give us resources, and people say, well, what's going to happen with those resources? Oh, I don't know. We just have resources. Okay, what are you going to do with that? What's going to happen there with that? I don't know. I'll be able to eat better and have more money in my account. Okay, well, how are you gonna grow the resources? Are you gonna invest it, reallocate? What's gonna? Well, I don't know. We just gonna have stuff, and we can go shopping and everything. Like really, what is your plan? What is your plan? Really, and again, I'm speaking as a financial expert here. When you get wealth, you must have a plan for that wealth. You must activate that wealth. Wealth is naturally fertile unless you decide to abort it or to kill the fertility. If you make your wealth infertile, then it will die, right? So if your wealth plan, if somebody says, well, I'm gonna give you a check for $50,000 right now, what is your plan? And your only plan is, well, I'm gonna give you a new car, pay some bills, give me some clothes, then guess what? What you're basically telling me is that you're just going to be broke again. Like, that's your plan. Your plan is, I want to be broke again because brokenness is going to be my constant state of existence. And when you have conversations that are political about the allocation of resources, and you don't have a do for self dimension of that, something that involves the development of businesses, or you have that whole conversation on ADOS and the FBA flooded by those who absolutely hate businesses so much, black businesses so much, that they think everything is evil capitalism, and they, I don't know if they would want socialism or something else. Well, the problem is that unfortunately socialism worldwide has not been proven to be a very strong business model. It doesn't mean that it's not sort of a healthy ideology. It doesn't mean that you can't do some good things from that, right? It doesn't mean that you don't need it. Right? You need it, right? America's a little too capitalist. That's the problem with America. But you need businesses, you need free enterprise, you need asset productivity in order for you to grow from what you have, in order to sustain what you have. If I give you a patch of land and you just want to own land just so you can have land and that's it, that's not enough. You got to have something that you want to do with it. You got to make it into a productive asset. So reparations must be turned into a productive asset. And I think that we need to have plans on how that's going to happen. Okay, so let's keep going. They quote Tariq Nasheed, who I think is a good person to quote on this conversation. And what they say here is, Tariq says, every other group when they get here goes out of their way to say, I'm Jamaican, I'm Nigerian, I'm from Somalia. But when we decide to say, okay, we are a distinct ethnic group, people look at the negative, or look at that as negative. And I agree with him. I think that, but here's the thing though. Here's what I want to add to that. I don't give a fuck if you think it's negative. I just don't. The time I became most liberated as a black man was when I really just truly realized that I don't have to care what white people think about me. I don't have to care if they think that me being too black is offensive to them. Well, guess what? All your damn dog parks and Starbucks and Whole Foods is offensive to me. The fact that you kiss your puppy you tongue kiss your dog, that's offensive to me. But last time I checked, you didn't care that offended me. Seriously, I'm not dissing, I'm not hating, I'm not attacking. I'm just saying, like, there's probably about 1,000 different things. If I was to really sit back and think about it, there's probably 1,000 different things about white culture that offend the shit out of me and annoy me and I see as a negative. But what I notice is that, again, because I don't want to be a white supremacist, I notice that you give zero fucks about whether I think it's a negative or not, and you just do you. You just do you. You're not doing you constantly looking over your shoulder. Well, these black people, every time we try to get together and gentrify a neighborhood and build a Whole Foods, theyese black people they're on our backs. They're always stopping us. They burned down our white Wall Street because we tried to build a Wall Street and the black people can't. They don't look at it. They're not paranoid of you like that. They don't care what you think. So again, in my quest for equality, or beyond equality, I'm not even talking about equality. I'm talking about, honestly, I kind of think being black is kind of the shit. I kind of think, actually, I feel kind of superior. I'm not saying I am. I'm saying I just feel superior. I just do, right? I'm smarter than 99.9% of all the white people I've ever met. So there's nothing in me that says, oh my God, there's a white man. He's better than me. I need to make sure I'm well dressed and that I smell good and that, and that everything I say it meets his approval. I don't feel that way, right? Basically, it's okay to say, you see it as a negative. We just gonna agree to disagree, because you got yours, I got mine. I'm taking care of my people. You take care of your people. That's why Malcolm X actually didn't have a problem sitting down with a white supremacist and saying, let's make a deal. Why? Well, because Malcolm didn't give a shit. He didn't need a white man to tell him he was a good person. He didn't need white folks to tell him that he was okay. He didn't need white people to give him permission for shit. Malcolm would sit down and be like, you know what? I actually respect you more than I respect some of my own, because at least you know who you are. You ain't afraid to say it, and you're protecting yours. You taking care of yours. I'm going to take care of mine. If we can find some common interest, then we can talk. But at the end of the day, I'm just sitting there trying to say, and it's not me disagreeing with Tariq's comment. His comment is 100% correct. But I'm just trying to give you another perspective to say that you really don't have to care what white people think. Now, mind you, let's moderate that a little bit. And if you work for them, then yes, you do have to care what they think, because that's your boss, right? If your boss is black, white, Asian, whatever, you gotta care what your boss thinks. That's why, again, one of our 3 core values: educate your own children, create our own jobs, support black businesses. The second one means getting him out of your ass, right? Getting him out of your business. Because like when I was a kid, my mama used to say, if you ain't paying no bills in my house, I don't need to worry about what you think about me, right? If somebody ain't paying no bills in this house, then who cares what their opinion is? So your problem, one of your biggest problems, is that these people that you're sort of rivaling with, they're the ones who are paying the bills in your house, because you were trained to believe that that's the way things are supposed to be when you were a child. However, I think the future should be different. I think we should understand the vulnerability that comes with allowing a predatory culture to be responsible for your economic survival. That right there is what you call a losing strategy, right? Okay, so anyway, let's keep going. Please hit the thumbs up button. If you're on Facebook, please share it to your page. And also, I can give a soft promotion of this. Wesley Muhammad hit me up. We are doing a manhood summit in Chicago on January 11th. Some big names are coming. I cannot say these names right now because I do not want to speak too soon. But Wesley did give me the green light to go ahead and let you guys know that we're going to do something January 11th, Southside Chicago. It's worth traveling to. It's going to be amazing. So I'll keep you guys posted on that as well. We got a lot of stuff kind of popping off. I got a few other things happening. I just got to kind of remember everything. But yeah, but that's going to be big. And also, I saw Constance Carter in here, and I know Constance Carter is going to get me out to Oakland. I'm going to speak at a church. I do not know the name of the church. So Constance, if you're watching, if you can send me the name of the church to my Facebook Messenger, I would appreciate that. That way I can announce the name of the church and tell everybody in Oakland when I'll be there. And also, Cheryl Irvin runs the new Alkebalan School down in Florida. I encourage you to go look it up. Cheryl did a great job of helping us create a database of independent Black schools and African-centered schools all throughout the United States that you can find. It's a highlighted map at teachourownchildren.com. That's teachourownchildren.com. So feel free to go check that out if you want to actually look into getting your child into one of these African-centered schools or a independent Black school. What was it? Freedom Home Academy International and the Muhammad University of Islam are 2 of the best schools I've ever seen. And I really think that we should get our kids into schools like that instead of waiting for white people to fix the public schools. Let's keep going. This year, responding to requests for, quote, more detailed disaggregated data for our diverse American experience, end quote, the Census Bureau announced that African Americans will be able to list their origins on census forms for the first time instead of simply checking Black. The goal of Atos' 2 founders, Antonio Moray, a Los Angeles defense attorney, and Yvette Carnell, a former aide to Democratic lawmakers in Washington, is to harness frustrations among Black Americans by seizing the nation's shifting demographics. Embracing their role as insurgents, again, that word insurgents, I don't like that word. I think that word's a little bit harsh. Mr. Moore and Ms. Carnell held their first national conference in October, which was at Simmons College of Kentucky. Pastor Kevin Cosby runs that church. I introduced Kevin and Yvette about 2 or 3 years ago, and have made reparations for the brutal system of slavery upon which the United States was built a key tenet of their platform, which I agree with. Reparations, that's a no-brainer. Like that's a question that whether it's definitely a yes in terms of whether or not we deserve reparations. Whether or not they'll pay, that's another question. How much they'll pay, that's the bigger question. I think the challenge is that I don't really know. I don't see a clear pathway in terms of how you're going to get a do-nothing Congress filled with a bunch of racist people to really write the kind of check Black people deserve. And I would almost say that if the check is not adequate or if the compensation is not adequate, I would say no. I would just say, no, we're not interested. I'm not taking it, because the problem is that, it's almost like dealing with a bill collector. If you owe $10,000 and they let you settle the debt for $100, then then the debt's gone. Like then at that point you can't complain because you took a bad deal, right? So I don't believe in letting them settle a $15 trillion debt with a $500 billion project or $500 billion promise. I just don't believe in that. Do me a favor, if you're on Instagram, I'm going to bring you guys right back. It's going to take you out in a second. So let me end this and bring you back. Please hit the thumbs up button and hit the notification bell. If you haven't done that, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe button, and the notification bell. Very important. Please do that. All right. So let me see. I'm going to try to go back live on Instagram. My Instagram is the real Boyce Watkins, by the way, in case you guys didn't know. All right. So let me see here. I'm trying to open up the gram. All right. You know what? I cannot open this crap up. So give me a second. I'm going to try it one more time. All right. Okay. So here we go. Now, by the way, Vicky Diller did an excellent analysis last night on all of this on FlyNewBeingQueenTV.com. So I encourage you guys to go check that out. She's a very smart lady, and her shows every single day, and she's very, very good at what she does. Their movement has also become a lightning rod of criticism on the left. Its skepticism of immigration sometimes strikes a tone similar to that of President Trump, and that's unfortunately true. I've known Yvette for a long time, and I will say that the problem that the Atos membership has, because a lot of the Atos, I'm Atos. I know most of my friends are Atos. You can't not be Atos if you are Atos, right? If you're a descendant of slavery, that's just what you are. That's your distinction. That's part of your heritage. But the problem that the movement has right now is that because Yvette has attacked so many people, she's chopped off a lot of her natural allies, and also she ends up sounding a little bit Donald Trumpish in that it's sort of this idea of creating this very toxic, very attacking energy that is like, get him, you ain't shit, you ain't that. I remember on Twitter, I think I tweeted something like, I support ADOS. That was my way of throwing out an olive branch and saying, come on, Yvette, look, whatever you're mad at me about, call me on the phone. Let's figure it out. We can be cool. We worked together for years. I don't hate you. Just talk to me. So I called a couple times and texted a couple times. And then I just tweeted just to say, hey, I support ADOS, because Kevin Cosby is a really good friend of mine. And he supports Dr. Claude Anderson the way I do. And, and I was like, there's no reason for all this chaos, right? So I tweeted that, and then suddenly I get this response: you are not part of ADOS. You are not going to hijack this movement. And I'm like, wow, like, damn, I didn't know that was going to happen, but okay, well, sorry, no reason to be so bitter, but I'm still ADOS. You can't change that shit. But I think at the same time, what the downside of that has become is now the New York Times is, I think, labeling her in a way that's just a little bit harsh, right? Like, you sound like Donald Trump. If your energy is more negative than positive, then you're going to turn a lot of people off. So I know a lot of good people who wanted to be a part of the movement because they were like, yeah, I'm ADOS. I agree with this philosophy. I've watched Boyce and I've heard Do for Self, and I've seen Tariq, and I've seen all these other messages that tell me that being African-American is an important thing and that we need to stick together. And so I joined. But then if you're attacking people that are legendary in this space who've been fighting on reparations and for descendants of slaves for 40 years, like say, Dr. Claude Anderson, which Yvette did attack Claude Anderson, and I didn't think that was necessary. It doesn't mean that you can't critique people. It doesn't mean that there can't be issues that you have, or you can't sort of privately say, I'm not really interested in being a part of what they got going on. But I think that there's a difference between that versus really being so harsh that you're almost like you're discrediting a person, like you're destroying them. It reminds me of when Obama got elected, and Cornel West was being, he was critiquing the lack of energy that the Obama administration was putting into the black community. Cornel West, they literally basically propped up Negroes to literally destroy him. They had Melissa Harris Perry, coming out and really trying to undermine his relevance as a human being and as a scholar. It just almost like, don't ever listen to this guy because he has no credibility whatsoever. And that's not necessary, right? You can have, it's like war, right? You can have skirmishes, maybe some shooting that happens at the border. Maybe you even launch a Patriot missile or two, but you don't have to drop a nuclear bomb every time somebody disagrees with you, right? And so I think that this is what is, I think it probably puts a lot of this energy in most jeopardy, because right now it's sort of appearing to mainstream media like it's just a bunch of chaos, just more Negroes fighting. We might as well be in a Popeyes chicken beating each other's asses, and people looking from the outside saying, look at what they do. Look at when they get around chicken. Look at how crazy they act, right? So they get a little power. Look at how crazy they act. They start attacking each other and killing each other and discrediting each other. And I don't believe in that, right? So ultimately, I think that comparison with Trump right now, unfortunately, has been very accurate, because those who say ADOS, I'm ADOS, I'm ADOS, unfortunately, they're also being connected by the media to the movement ADOS, which has founders in Antonio More and Yvette Carnell, who have been very contentious and been fighting lots of people and fighting lots of natural allies, fighting people who support reparations. There are probably bigger enemies you could grab onto before you start attacking Black people who agree with you, right? Like that doesn't even make it. That's not even good strategy, right? So anyway, let's keep going. So in the group, and in fact, like just look at the tone of some of the comments. So, but the thing is, you can distinguish. You can break the group into two of those sects, right? You got those who come in. First comment is "fuck you," "I hate you," "you suck," "you're this," "you're that," right? And people like that, they can kind of you have to ignore that, right? But then you got those people who are just like, why are we fighting? Why don't we come together? I like Tariq. I like this person. I like that person. Why don't we all work together? Right. So I think that energy is definitely more productive in terms of actually building something that makes sense. And from what I know about Pastor Kevin Cosby, who hosted the ADOS conference, Kevin and I, we've had hundreds of conversations. We've known each other for a long time. I believe that unity is something that he wants as well. I haven't talked to him in a while, but I'm with the hope that he understands that just for good strategy, you can't have people constantly attacking people like Claude Anderson or Louis Farrakhan. I think that she did an assault piece on Louis Farrakhan. What was it? Who else? Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism's dead. Like, you can't do a video called Pan-Africanism's dead and expect Pan-Africanists not to get pissed off. So I think that just from a strategic standpoint, in the reparations battle, we've got to sort of think through, sort of how this is being done. And it can't be done in a haphazard sort of way. Let me see here. Umar blocked me for asking about you and Brother Rizza Islam. Yeah, like that's another example. It's not a diss on Umar Johnson, but it's bad strategy to cut off people that are your natural allies. If somebody asks you a question, that's one thing. If somebody attacks you, that's different, right? So I think that even when you say consider Umar Johnson, I've seen Umar take hits in areas where it wasn't necessary, because when somebody donates to your school and you block them from your page, that's a little bit strange to me, right? Like I would block a racist from my page. I would block, somebody who's making personal attacks from my page, because I don't have time for that bullshit. But I would not block somebody who says, hey, Boyce, I financially supported you in a major way, and I just want to know, I would like for you to explain why you did this instead of that, right? I'm not gonna say, well, fuck you, you need to get off my page. What the hell, man? Fuck all y'all. Like that would be like ridiculous, right? So anyway, let me keep going. Such tactics have led some to accuse the group of sowing division among African Americans and engaging in a form of voter suppression, not unlike the voter purges and gerrymandering efforts pushed by Republicans. Now, this comes off to me as a liberal kind of trying to say, if you're not supporting liberal causes, then you might as well be a Republican, right? Yvette, well, I didn't know Yvette did a video about Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. Well, that's probably because Yvette is gay, right? And basically, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing has some pretty strong opinions on lesbianism, homosexuality. So I would imagine that might be why she had an issue with Frances Cress Welsing. I'm not sure. I know Marco Hill had an issue with her too. And so I think what that gets to me on, if you want to know my opinion on that, because today I just thought it would be fun to kind of talk about politics and what I'm really seeing here. I look at the LGBT conversation as one that, where I don't really care what you do in your bedroom. I just don't, and so that's me. I just don't care. I don't know if you would call it a don't ask, don't tell policy, because I'm not telling you not to tell me. I'm just telling you I'm not going to ask you, right? And also I don't see being gay to be the same as being black. I don't know if you guys agree. Tell me what you think. But I don't really. So I see that as a secondary issue. It's almost like, like I'm not gonna lose my friend. Like for example, I got friends up in the chat, Jamie and Fussy Baller and Steven. Like I'm not gonna stop being your friend because you're wearing purple shoes, right? Because the color of your shoes don't matter to me. And now you might feel some kind of way about the color of your shoes. You might have, purple shoe pride. And I respect that. Wear your purple, man. Do your shit. Be you. But I'm not going to even want to talk to you about it because I don't really care. Right. So I think that that's the thing. And that's, to me, an example of liberal oppression, where they kind of get mad at you because you don't care, because you're not applauding, like asking people to do gay kisses in public and stuff. Like I don't care. I'm sure I have gay friends, but I don't know because I don't ask them. Now if you show up and you say hi, if my friend Steve shows up and says, hey, this is my boyfriend Chad, I'll be like, oh, hi Chad. That's it. It's not gonna be like, oh my God, you're gay. Like, wait, get out of my driveway, Chad. I'm not gonna do that, right? Why? Well, because I'm not trying to sleep with you. Like, I don't care. You ain't sleeping with my daughter. I ain't sleeping with you. I don't care, right? So I think that but I think that Francis Cress Welsing thing, I think that's linked to the whole gay thing. That's what I really think is connected to. But anyway, let me keep going. Such tactics have led some to accuse the group of sowing seeds of division among African Americans. I don't consider it voter suppression. I think that when you tell Black people to vote in their own interest or not vote at all, that's not voter suppression. That's actually giving Black people freedom to make a choice. So if you think that freedom is a form of suppression, then you have the definition backward. That probably means that you're suppressing, because forcing Black people to vote Democratic in every election, that's also a form of voter suppression. If I tell you that you're a sellout because you did not support Hillary Clinton, that's a type of voter suppression, right? Because you're not giving me a choice, right? So to some extent, as much as we might critique a guy like a Kanye West, because we know Kanye's out there, Kanye's definitely, he was definitely delivered by aliens. Kanye's actually making a good point. Kanye's like, I'm gonna be Kanye, I'm gonna be me, I'm gonna do my thing. I don't care what none of y'all think. I actually kind of admire that. Call me crazy, but I admire that. All right, so let's keep going. Shireen Mitchell, the founder of here we go. Somebody said, now this is another typical Democratic Party talking point, which never makes any sense to me, but they always say it. Not voting will result in another term for Donald Trump, said Brandon Gasaway, National Press Secretary of the Democratic National Committee. And it's because you say stupid things like that a lot of smart Black people are not going to vote for you, because you cannot simply use the fear of Donald Trump as a motivation to give you support. You can't do that. When you are pushing people to make decisions based on fear, what you are doing is you are committing a form of abuse. You are committing a form of abuse. You are no different from that old weak ass motherfucker in a relationship who tells his woman that, well, if you leave me, ain't nobody gonna want you, right? Or if you leave me, your kids ain't gonna have no mama no more, right? Instead of trying to be a better man, you're gonna put it all on her and the guilt on her. Like, well, if you leave, you can't afford to have an apartment without me. You need my income, right? Like that's kind of what they're doing. They're sort of just, they can't say, hey, why don't you support the Democrats? Look at all these things we're doing for Black people. We're gonna, we got this initiative in place and that initiative. We're gonna make your community better. We can prove it. Blah 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 blah. They're not doing that. What they're saying is, well, if you don't vote for us, you're voting for Donald Trump. Well, Donald Trump, honestly, I don't have a fear of Donald Trump. My life is no different under Trump than it was under Obama. It just isn't. So anyway, let me keep going. Shireen Mitchell, the founder of Stop Online Violence Against Women, has been embroiled in an online battle with ADOS activists for months. Ms. Mitchell contends, and that's the thing. I just kind of think anybody out there that's just like constantly looking for fights and battles, come on, stop that shit. It's kind of silly. It kind of proves you have nothing to do, but so I think that you can actually have healthy debates if you can separate the issue from the person, right? You don't have to hate a person because you're debating with them. You can just debate them and come back with a respectable argument and say, we're still friends at the end. That to me is a distinction between smart people and dumb people, mature people and immature people. Mature people are the ones who can say, you know what? I don't like what you said about XYZ. I totally disagree with you, but you still my boy, right? Like that's actually something you can do. And it's important, because if you don't do that, you won't have any friends. All your friends are going to offend you, and you're going to unfriend all of them because they voted for somebody that you don't agree with, when that ain't got shit to do with you. Does it really hurt you? Yes or no? Give me a yes or no. Yes or no. Does it really affect your life that the friend you've had for the last 10 years voted for Donald Trump and you didn't? Like, does it really affect your life? Like, in what way? Like, yes or no? Is your life any different because your Facebook friend voted for Trump? Yes or no? Right. You just feeling some kind of way. So when I see people say stupid shit on Facebook, like, well, if you support Donald Trump, you need to unfriend me right now. That doesn't come off as very intelligent. It doesn't come off as disciplined on any level. Like you're really willing to throw away friends you've had for years because of a guy who gives zero shits about you. Like these politicians care nothing about you. Why would you ruin your personal life over what they're doing in Washington? They ain't messing their lives up over you, ever. Let me keep going. Shireen Mitchell, the founder of Stop Online Violence Against Women, has been embroiled in an online battle with ADOS activists for months. Ms. Mitchell contends that the group's leaders are using reparations as a weapon to make Mr. Trump more palatable to Black voters. I don't agree with that. I would imagine that if I took a poll amongst the friends I know who have the ADOS distinction, they would probably not vote for Donald Trump. So I think that is that's just an incorrect statement. I don't think reparations is being used as a weapon. Reparations is real, and if these Democrats want to be concerned about the reparations issue being used against them, then they should probably solve it by writing a $15 trillion check to make sure that Black people get what we deserve. Others have pointed out that Miss Carnell once appeared on her YouTube channel in a Make America Great Again hat. Yeah, I saw that picture. I'm kind of surprised. I didn't know Yvette would wear a hat like that. I never knew her as that kind of person. I'd be curious to see why she put it on. And if she's listening, I'd love for her to call me and explain. She can even come on my channel and explain why she wore a MAGA hat, because I didn't understand that shit at all. You ain't never gonna see me wear no fucking MAGA hat ever. So let's see here. Over 1,000 people attended the group's first national conference hosted by Simmons College of Kentucky. That's a school that I've supported quite a bit. Guest speakers included Marianne Williamson, a white self-help author who has made reparations a key plank on her platform, and Dr. Cornel West, who I love, who said ADOS has given a voice to working class people, Black people. Now that's an interesting point. One thing about Dr. West, and Cornel West is a man I love a lot. I really, he calls me every now and then, and I've always respected him. He's one of the first public scholars I've ever seen in my life. Julianne Malveaux was the first, Dyson was the second, Cornel West was the third that I've seen in my life. And the thing about Cornel West, who is a very good person, I mean, up close, he's a very good guy, is that Cornel West leans heavily left. He leans very much on the left side of the spectrum based on what I've seen in terms of ideology. And I think that's fine. That means, heavy advocacy for the poor, for working class, labor unions, the whole gamut, right? And I think that that's a wonderful thing because America needs more of that. Now, the downside of that is that because white folks taught you that you have to be one thing, a lot of the Black ideology, particularly in our so-called, our alleged liberation ideology, has leaned heavily left. There's a lot of evidence to say that a lot of our movements have been supported by, communists and others that wanted to just disrupt American politics. They just wanted communism to sort of, fight against capitalism and democracy, right? And so I'm not saying that those ideas are bad. I've studied a lot of these ideas. I'm not a political scientist, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I am. But there are good ideas on all sides of the spectrum. And I think that the people that make the most sense to me are the ones who understand the distinctions, right? Who don't get into a rhetoric that simply says, like, for example, I see a lot of people attacking Black-owned businesses on a regular basis because they assume automatically that if you're Black and you own a business and you're not poor, then you must be a hardcore capitalist. And most of the people that I know, like in the Black Business School, the first thing I do is I explain capitalism to our students, and then I explain why capitalism is not always healthy. That if you are too committed to capitalism, that can be a very bad thing, right? And at the end of the day, here's the thing, though, right? A lot of the working class people, they need jobs, right? And ultimately, sure, government can create some jobs and opportunities, right? But government has not been shown to be the most efficient way to run an entire economy. Before the Chinese became the most powerful economy on earth, they were heavily government centered, and the government still plays a prominent role in the growth of Chinese business. It's very important, but they understood that the government could not be the be all end all for everything in order for China to prosper. The Chinese economy used to be garbage back when they were just incredibly communist and very much anti-free enterprise, right? So for Black people, you got to get out of this strugglenomics kind of mindset this idea that says that if you're black and you're doing better than me and you're making money, you must be bad, right? You know, that if you're black and you somehow found a way to get out of the economic struggle and you're not living paycheck to paycheck or working for a white man hand to mouth, you know, whatever, then I'm going to hate you because you're doing better than me. That does feed into a crabs in a barrel mentality. And that's one of the things that ends up dividing our people. Now, I understand if you have an issue with another black person because you just have some problem with how they live or who they are, I understand that part. But I think that to sort of say, well, because I'm poor and you're not poor, fuck you. Like that is just such a ridiculous way to move. It's just as ridiculous as a rich person who disavows and disrespects all poor people because they're poor, or working class people like me. Well, because I'm a professor, I have nothing in common with a construction worker. Well, you know, it depends on my energy, right? If I'm looking for a reason to see us as different people, I can. But if I'm looking for common ground, then I will find common ground, right? Because at the end of the day, we're both human beings. So my point is to say that, you know, I really wish that we could have a movement that respects our ADOS distinction, the fact that we are all descendants of slaves, respects our roles as foundational Black Americans, but makes space for everybody, that makes space for working class and poor, right? We gotta go to the hood and help everybody in the hood that wants help, right? But also makes room for the Black business owners who want to do the right thing, who want to sell a quality product at an affordable price, and maybe finds their way to economic success because they did it well. They ran a good business and they created lots of jobs, right? You can't have something, if you're demonizing all of your wealth builders and all of your business owners, then guess what? You will have no wealth, you will have no businesses, and all of you at the end of the day are going to have to stop your protest because you're going to have to go and work for white people. When Martin Luther King was marching at the height of the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King could not have done what he did without the Black business owners who were willing to write a check to help him and Jesse Jackson and others make payroll. Without these individuals stepping up, he wouldn't have been able to do what he did. Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they also understand that economic development must be a fundamental tenet within your liberation strategy. If you do not have economic development through job creation, and considering all stakeholders in that economy as being relevant and important, then you cannot win. So the problem, the pitfall of capitalism is that pure white man capitalism taught you that the only stakeholders that matter are the shareholders, that if you own the shares, your priorities matter above everybody else. They matter more than the workers. It matters more than your customers. It matters more than your suppliers. It matters more than the environment. Black economics, Black powernomics must be designed around a model that says that all stakeholders are relevant. So if you run a Black business, yes, I want you to be a millionaire. Yes, I want you to be rich. If you do a good job and you create a lot of jobs, it's not hurting me that you and your family are living in a mansion and driving a Benz. I'm not going to be mad at you for that. Now, what I am going to expect at the same time is that you do your best to make sure that you spread the wealth. You do better by helping others do better. So your employees, you're creating lots of jobs, and your workers are able to have a better life and see opportunities. You're taking good care of your customers. You're respecting your customers. Customer service is a high priority, and you're not out ripping people off. You're charging them a fair price, right? You got your suppliers. The other businesses are spawning out of your business. So you create the new Negro leagues, let's say. So let's say Colin Kaepernick and Jay-Z get together and create a football league. Well, there should be thousands of Black businesses that come out of that football league, right? Everybody from the people that run the hot dog stands to the people that sell T-shirts and vending to whatever, to the restaurants that are across the street, right? So ultimately, powernomics can be something that is shared in terms of creating success for everyone. Because if you don't support these ideas, if you attack do-for-selfers, which actually, Yvette Carnell did another, it's like attacking people who believe in do-for-self. Like what are you, if you don't believe in do for self, then you're basically saying you don't want to do for self. Then if you're not going to do for self, then who's going to do it for you? Oh, I get it. White people in the government. Oh, that's a good plan. That's going to work. Yes or no? Do you think white people I need to ask you guys this question. This is not me critiquing Miss Carnell. This is me talking about the issue here. Again, I separate the issue from the person. I care nothing about my history of working with Yvette at that point. Maybe she feels some kind of way, but I don't. Here's the thing. I want to ask you this question. If we get out of this shit, do you believe that white people, yes or no, do you believe white people are the ones who are going to get us out of this shit? Do you believe that white people are the ones that are going to give us the resources and the opportunities to make our community better? Do you believe that? Yes or no? Come on. The answer is hell to the motherfucking no. Hell motherfucking no. It ain't happening. White people ain't gonna stop acting white. But I'm not even mad at them. I'm done being mad at them. I've transcended this white supremacy thing to the point where I don't spend all my time sitting around being mad at white people. Seriously. You are the key to your power. You are the key to your liberation. All you need is you. The problem is you don't have you because you're too busy going out working for white folks and doing things for white people, and that's why their wealth is building and yours is dropping. You're out doing things. You're supporting other businesses. You're supporting Asian businesses and Arab businesses and Latino businesses, and they're getting rich and you're not. You know, you're giving away all your athletic capital, your human capital, because every single day you get up and you go to work and you feel like somehow you're supposed to go work for somebody else. You're giving all your money away to white businesses because you hate black businesses so much. It bothers me that if I'm looking on the internet and I see a video of a black person calling out a business for scamming black people, they are almost always calling out another black business. Am I right or am I right? Most of the time, when you see a black person on YouTube calling out a business for scamming black people, they are almost always going after a black business. I almost never see a black person on YouTube calling out a white business or an Asian business or a Latina business for scamming black people. They're always, almost always calling out other black people because that familiarity breeds contempt. You destroy your own possibilities for success. Rather than talking to the business owner about how they can do things better, you rather see that nigga dead and you rather see his shit destroyed just like yours. If he ain't broke like you at the end of the week, then he must be a crook. He must be a terrible person because he's charging $14 for that book instead of $12 like he should. And that same person will sit there and watch Popeyes chicken come into every black community in America and jack your ass for $100 million, and these Negroes ain't saying shit. That's what I'm talking about. You cannot build if your effort is to destroy. Every time you spend time destroying something, it better be something that you don't need, because you cannot build and destroy at the same motherfucking time. Do you understand what I'm saying? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Now, I'm done reading that New York Times article. I've been on here for a long time, and you guys can go read it. It's very interesting. If you want to know my conclusion on all of this, I'm going to keep doing what I do. You know, what I do is I believe that we have the ability and we have the know-how at this point in history to do things that black people have never done in America, or better yet, scratch that, not ever done. I would say to recapture what we lost before integration. I believe that by committing ourselves right now to training our children differently, those core values: educate our own children, create our own jobs, support black businesses. If we do those three things, that will have more impact on the state of Black America than any reparations package ever could. So that's why, if you want to know what I'm doing, because that's what happens when you talk a lot of shit like this. People want to know, like, well, what are you doing? Okay, well, let me tell you what I'm doing. When Alicia and I get married on 7/11/2020, and all of y'all are invited to the wedding, it's in Southside Chicago. I wanted it to be near black people. But she loves the Rockefeller Chapel. She went to the University of Chicago. It's a beautiful chapel, 1,600 people. The thing we decided to do, we don't want any gifts. You know, I know some of y'all have given us wedding gifts. We don't want gifts. What we would love for you guys to do is to consider supporting a foundation that we're creating. It's going to be called the Dr. Boyce and Alicia Watkins Foundation. And she's a doctor too, but we figured using the word doctor twice would be kind of weird. And what we want to do is we're picking one specific goal. That goal is to support as many independent Black schools as we possibly can. And if I ever become a billionaire or close to it, first thing you're going to see me do is build a Black school system all across the United States, because I believe it can be done efficiently. I believe it can be done effectively. I believe it can even be done profitably, because making a profit ain't a goddamn crime. Stop acting like profitability is a crime. It's not a crime. A crime is a crime. Making a profit ain't a crime. Doing well does not mean you're doing bad. So that's one thing that we're going to do. Second thing, create our own jobs. We've created thousands of entrepreneurs in the Black Business School. We have 81,000 students. We would love for you guys to join. You don't have to pay a penny on your first day. Later on, we offer you programs that are incredibly good, that don't cost you more on a daily basis than a Popeyes chicken sandwich. So we will make offers to you, but we only want you to make that move if you completely trust us. If you are completely clear, what we do is we have the 10X philosophy. If you feel that we gave you 10 times more value than what we charged you, then we're good. If not, then you should get your money back. So if you don't feel that we gave you 10 times more value than what we charged you, then you should come to us and we will give you a refund, because you need money to run a business. You need money to do all these things we talk about require money. And we give plenty of money to other communities. White folks get a ton of our money. We're just simply asking people to give Black businesses the same shot that you give white businesses, to give Black businesses similar resources to what you give white businesses. So that's the second thing. So going back to those core values. One, the foundation will support independent Black schools around the country. I wrote that $5,000 check to Freedom Home Academy International. I went to the Muhammad University of Islam twice. I'm going to visit the new Al-Qabalan school down in Florida. I told Cheryl Irvin I would come visit her in I think March. I think that's about the time we're going to do this. But really, I want to do things on a bigger scale. And I'll present those ideas to you if you want to be a part of that. But the second thing, creating our own jobs. Here's what you can do. Write this down. Put this on your refrigerator. Every Black child should know how to start a business by the age of 12. We should have, all of our children should be better at business and starting companies and investing than they are at football, basketball, rapping, and all these other things that our kids do. Because those are things that you're doing for white people. You need to do some stuff for yourself. Number three, support Black businesses, man. We actually have the blackbusinesslist.com, theblackbusinesslist.com, THE. theblackbusinesslist.com. If you go to theblackbusinesslist.com, you can register your Black-owned business, and we will have a database, a nationwide database of businesses where people can buy Black. I just need to get some staff members to help me vet through and make sure all the businesses are legit. But that's one of our contributions to that issue. So I'm not just talking about the problem. I'm talking about the solution. I'm not just talking about the solution. I'm talking about the implementation. That's how you go full circle. That's how you build a nation. That's how you build an economy. That's how you build power. Stop waiting for white people, because white people ain't coming. The cavalry ain't coming. You are the cavalry. So if you're sitting on your ass, then guess what? Nothing's going to move. So let's get off our ass and let's make some things happen. All right, guys, I want to say thank you very much. I see you, Dual, for your donation. Thank you very much, sister. I appreciate you. And thank you for moderating. I really appreciate you very much. Us, Atos, if you are in the DMV area, we will be meeting up at the U.S. Supreme Court to support our civil rights. Please pull up. Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's good. Well, keep me posted on how that goes. I hope Byron Allen wins his lawsuit today, or tomorrow. I don't know how that's going to go. But whatever I find out, I'll break that down. I'll do a detailed analysis for you. I did a breakdown for the students of the Black Business School last week. If you want to do that, go to theblackbusinessschool.com and just at least do a free membership so that I can invite you to the Black Wealth conversations that we have. Also, please do me a favor before you go. Please hit the thumbs up button, share button, and subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell. And I see Akila says, wrong. Stop spewing foolishness. Stop saying that we don't need reparations. I never said that, you idiot. Get your ass up out of here. Tell that big fool that he needs to go. He probably walked in the conversation 10 seconds ago, man. You can't be coming in here talking stupid and talking crazy, bro. I never said that. Tell me yes or no, guys. Yes or no. Please, let's help educate this Negro. Did I say that we don't deserve reparations? Have I said at any point ever that reparations are not deserved for Black people? Did I ever say that one time? Please tell me. Yes or no? Okay, now, Khalifa, what I need you to do, man, is I need you to go read all the comments, read all the no's in which people are explaining to your monkey ass that I never once said that we don't deserve reparations. So stop believing propaganda and start doing research. That's our problem. We get into these stupid loops where we assume certain things, or we like to reduce complex people into one-dimensional characters. I'm not a one-dimensional guy. There are lots of nuances to understanding my philosophy. And if you're not going to take time to do that homework, then this is not the platform for you. So but I'm not going to block you because I want you to be better. But at the end of the day, man, you got to stop that stuff. Just stop it. Stop all that attacking and shit. You go attack white people. Fight them. Don't fight your own. Quit that. Anyway, I'm out of here, guys. Have a good day. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.